Okay, so we're going to do one of these problems real quickly. So identify the vertex, the focus, the axis of symmetry, and the directrix. The axis of symmetry is just going to be if it's an upward facing parabola or a downward facing, wherever the vertex is, the axis of symmetry will just run through that point. If it's sideways, the axis of symmetry will run through the vertex. So remember, when the axis of symmetry is a vertical line, it will be x is equal to whatever the x value is. So your vertex is x and y, whatever the x value is. So let's say x is equal to 3. Let's say the vertex is at 3, 2. Well, the axis of symmetry will just be x is equal to 3. So the biggest challenge here is to find the vertex, the focus, and the directrix. So this is how a focus is found. So if you have, in this case, we have y is equal to x squared. And then there's some other stuff, but essentially, well, next to that y is this invisible 4p. And never talked about it before, but there's this invisible 4p. And there's always, in this case, the coefficient next to x squared is 1, but there's always a c value right there. And how you find the focus is this. You set that 4p, so 4p equal to the reciprocal of c, so 1 over c, and then you get the p by itself. Well, 4 is attached to p by multiplication, so you can either divide both sides by 4, but since this is a fraction, multiply both sides by 1/4. So the focus, or the p value, is equal to 1 over 4c. So hold on to that. In this case, the invisible c is 1. So you're just going to write 4p is equal to 1 over, well, the c value right there is 1. And we're going to multiply both sides by 1/4. P is just equal to 1/4, or the focus. So, and then I'll explain that in just a second. So we know the focus is 1/4. But the other thing that you need to do that's going to speed up finding the vertex is I want you to complete the square. And here's one way to do it. We're going to put y is equal to x squared plus 8x. And I'm now going to put this in parentheses. And I'm going to put plus blank. And there's that plus 12 right there. All right. Now, because we're not going to add anything to the left side and the right, whatever we add right here, we have to subtract it. So notice if we add something and subtract it, then we haven't really changed anything. So again, to find this c value, I know all the different times that we call something c is confusing. So right here, this is equal to half of b squared, right? So half of 8 is 4. So 8 over 2 squared, so 4 squared. So we're going to add 16 there. Now we're going to subtract 16. The reason we have to subtract 16 is, notice we're not adding anything to the left side. So we have to zero the 16 out because we have to keep this side the same value. So we're going to add 16 there, so we're going to subtract 16. Now we have, this is a perfect square trinomial, so this factors to x plus 4 squared, and then 12 subtract 16. So now we have our vertex. The opposite of 4, so vertex. The opposite of 4 is -4. And then, so that's the x value. And this just says subtract 4. So right here at -4, that's the vertex. Notice this is positive, so we know it's going to be turned upward. And also because this is the vertex and it's going to be facing upward, this is the axis of symmetry right here. So x is equal to whatever this is, which is -4. So that right there is the axis of symmetry. And now we have to find the focus. Well, the focus is 1/4. So from the vertex right here, so I'm just going to draw a generic parabola. The vertex, which is -4, -4, the focus is 1/4 above the vertex right there. So remember, when you're going up and down, you add to the y value. So the focus will be -4, -4 plus 1/4, because we're going to go up. So -4 is the same thing as -16/4 plus 1/4. So the focus, so -16 plus 1 is -15. So now we know our focus point. Our focus point is at the x value is -4, the y value is -15/4. So right about here, just above, whoops, just barely above. Let me put that in a different color. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger so it's easier for you to see. It's really close to the vertex. Now to find the directrix, remember the directrix is the dashed line below the vertex. So if you have to go 1/4 above the vertex, for the directrix, you're just going to go 1/4 below the vertex point. So if the vertex y value originally was -16/4, so this point right here is -4, -4, which is the same thing as -16/4. The directrix, we're going to subtract. We had to go up, so we added 1/4 for the focus. So now we subtract 1/4. So -16/4 subtract 1/4 gives you -17/4. So notice this is a horizontal line, and that horizontal line for the directrix is y is equal to -17/4. So I know we're going to need to practice these in class, and I get that. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to complete the square, and once you complete the square, you're going to have it in this form. This form right here, this tells you where the vertex is, and whatever number is outside here, that's a different, they keep calling things the C value, but let's pretend you could call it A or M, whatever you want to call it, but sometimes they call that C, which is weird. There's this invisible 4P, and to find the focus, you set 4P equal to 1/C, and then you're going to multiply both sides by 1/4. So remember, to find the focus is going to be 1/4 times C, and you add this to the vertex value, either the x or the y value. If you're going up or down, you add this value to the y. If you're going left or right, you're going to add this value to the x. All right, so that should take care of one of these.